Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness, easy for me to say, approach to life. And we do that on a daily basis. We try to, anyway. We've got over 630 audios available for your listening pleasure on a variety of topics, and hopefully there's something that's of use to you. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching as it relates to business, making positive habit change, relationships, spirituality, or all points in between, would love to be of service to you. There's a couple ways you can go about reaching out if that is something you're interested in. The first thing to do is to go on Twitter at PO Perception, send a direct message. A member of my team will get back to you, or you can go into the About Me section of this YouTube page and go from there. In that section is both a contact email for the team and my website, so you can go that way as well. So the this particular audio, though, is basically about being ready for change. A mentor of mine long ago said something to me that's so super valuable, and that is that change is one of the few constants in the world. And when we begin to believe that change is a constant in the world and it is part of who we are and the makeup of what we need to be focused on, life will be easier for us. When we acknowledge that change exists and we acknowledge that change is necessary, life is easier and more simple. So always be doing the self work. Always be honest with yourself. If you're bothered by something, admit it, work through it, and release it as quickly and efficiently as possible. If you are scared of something, confront the fear, find ways to work around it, find ways to modify your approach to it, and kind of step forward from it. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how you do it. It matters that you do it. And so, whatever approach you take to the concept of changing your life and getting to new places, the more important it is to get to a place of deeper value and understanding for what it is that you need to go forward. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have all the answers. Uh, in more value, you need to look at, hey, I'm going to be ready for change. I'm going to look at myself um, to kind of look at, hey, what do I really want to accomplish? What's my goal? What's my dream? And what do I need to change about me to get closer to where I am? Uh, living my life at 100% or as close to 100%. Um, and that's important going forward there. The next thing to consider is self belief. So, self belief is a really difficult concept because it really does literally have to come from within the self. And a lot of times in a culture that is community based and mob mentality, meaning we have people backing us up around social issues, we have people backing us up on religious issues, we have people backing us up on politics and how we run things and all of that. So self belief is difficult because it causes us to go, what do I really believe that I haven't been programmed or influenced to believe? And one of the things you have to believe in more than anything is yourself and your ability to react and respond in a way that gets you towards your goals. It's hard to do when we're not necessarily taught that level of self sufficiency and self reliance. The next thing is risk and risk aversion versus risk taking. Look, everything in life is a risk. It's a risk to step out your door because you could get hit by a car. It's a risk to stay inside because you could become lonely. It's a risk to put yourself out there publicly because people could criticize you. So, when looking at the concept of risk, it's important to understand that it's the risk that you've done a risk assessment on and evaluated, is this worth it to me, your value score versus avoiding all risk. People that avoid all risk don't really get anywhere meaningful And um, that's the challenge. People often paralyze themselves emotionally because they're afraid to take risks. But when you look at things that there's risk in everything, it's just choosing the ones with the least impact of negativity if things don't go well, and having a backup plans if things don't go well is important. The next thing is responsibility. So the ability to respond is something we have in all things, and to be more accurate, the ability to respond is important for all of us to approach from a personal level. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the ability to respond means that we know what we're doing, but the ability to respond is, in fact, that exactly that. The need to respond to what's ever in front of us in the nature of, taking the information in that matters, figuring out what it is that we need to do, finding ways to make decisions that are both intelligent and well informed without expecting other people to have to bail us out. Sometimes it can take years or even decades to get to our goal, but at some level we have to take the consequences of our response and consequences of not taking action. There's consequences to every action we take. We may not like them. We may not be comfortable with them. We may not even want to deal with them, but it is important to look at, hey, is this really truly worth it as it relates to going forward with the goals that I have, the meaning that I've given to my life, what matters to me, where I'm going, where I want to see myself in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and also the amount of energy I want to put in now is important. Realize that the amount of energy you put in now will directly affect the results you get later, and so it's important to look at balancing oneself, not overextending yourself, but also not selling yourself short when it comes to, putting in the time now to get results for it later. The next thing to look at is kind of looking at things for moving quickly. In other words, obsessing over whether a decision is right or wrong. Um, it's a difficult thing to look at because we don't necessarily know how to go about making decisions when we're not in the best of mental or emotional states. And so finding a way to kind of, you know, make decisions quickly. That is, I believe in my gut. I believe in the research I've done. I believe in my readiness to be able to respond and recover and be resilient should something go wrong, and move quickly, because if you're not moving, someone else will move in to take a spot from you. And it's important to know that. Observer. Be the observer in every area of your life, so that if you're ever in a situation where you have to make a decision about something quickly, you can, because you've already observed the trend as it relates to what the likely outcome is or could be or will be. Goals. Have goals that are multifaceted, long-term, medium-term, and short-term goals. Work on each goal with a little bit of every week, every month, every year. Have financial goals, have spiritual goals, have relational goals, have bucket list goals, things you're working towards. Because at the end of the day, it isn't necessarily that you are going to be more or less successful with all things. There are goals in life that you may never reach, but as long as you're trying, you're giving yourself a place to put your energy that leads you away from lethargy, boredom, and potential depression. The last is eat well and contain your body well. So that includes things like exercise. It includes things like taking time for yourself, mental and emotional care days. It includes eating well and resting well, sleeping well, and doing all of those things, because at the end of the day, you can get to a better and more intelligent way of making decisions for your own benefit. Um, that's kind of what to look at. So the more specifically motivated that you are, the better off you can make your decisions, both in the long and short run. Hopefully that's helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.